Here we go. Alright, so there's not a lot of removal in this hand, or this pack. Lost Legacy, we don't really care about. So this is kind of interesting. When enters battlefield, tap target creature upon control. That creature doesn't untap during its control's untap step. This card is pretty great. It's just a 5/5 for 5. Vehicles you have control have flying. Enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each other creature you control. Ooh, that's really good. Let's see here. There's nothing in the way of actual removal. That's an aggressive card. It's a very aggressive card. I think it's just this is too much value. We want fatties too. We don't want just removal. So as you can see here, I was debating heavily between the Tusker and the Patrol. The Patrol is a 3/2 flyer, and it's 2 colors. The Ridge Scale is 1 color. It does something that I really look for in my early packs, either premium removal or premium fatties. And I would consider it to be a premium fatty. On its own, a 5/5 for 5 is nothing to scoff at, and then it pumps your entire team, which is just amazing. And then the Patrol, it definitely is a very utility card, and it's definitely arguably the next best card in the pack. I personally am looking for cards that leave me open, if possible, this early in the draft. So I took the green card. So this card is a flyer. That's a really good card. The Rhino is really solid, but I don't think I can pass up this Whisperweave Angel. Exile another target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Okay, so it's a 4/4 flyer that does blinky stuff. Is it better than Cloud Blazer? Cloud Blazer, we're not really committed to green, I guess. If we were, we would probably just take Thriving Rhino and hope for the best. Gosh, this is tough. I don't really want to try to dabble into blue, so we're going to take the Whisperweaver Angel. So the white flyers were definitely something I was looking at. So there's a 4/4 for 6 that blinks something, and then there's the Hawk that can give other creatures flying if you pay an energy when it attacks. The other card that I was dabbling with for a second there was the Rhino. I think that I definitely made an incorrect pick here. Now, the 4/4 flying body was very attractive to me, and that's why I took it. And in the back of my mind, I didn't say this, but I was thinking it could blink the Ridge Scale, Tusker, and obviously there's inherent value in that. But what's a little bit more important than top end value is making sure that I have good threats on my curve, especially early. You want to take quality early if you can. You fill out the curve towards the end of the draft. So this is something that really turned the draft in a direction that ended up being basically, I think, not as good as it could be. Now, given what I said, the card that I ended up taking, the Angel, was not the pick. It should have been either Suntail, Hawk, or Rhino. Either of those options are very strong. It's okay to grab a second color card, especially if it's a 2-drop that's super strong. And the Rhino is just a solid body that gets bigger when it attacks. And then Ridge Scale, Tusker plus Rhino, it just makes it a little bit difficult to get rid of. It puts it out of the range of a lot of removal spells. So I think I definitely made an incorrect pick. If I took the Spire Patrol, I would be personally taking Cloud Blazer, though there's a strong argument for the Hawk. So either way, the Hawk should have been looked at very, very closely. But this was a bad pick. I think I should have taken either the Rhino or the Hawk here. Okay, what do we got here? So this creature says, at the end of combat, if this attacks are blocked this turn, put a velocity counter on it, then it had 2 more velocity counters, sacrifice it and draw 2 cards. It's got crew 2. Okay, I see. So you know what? I think that card's actually fine. No, that card actually isn't fine. So on the base, if you're just to evaluate that card for what it is, sure, it is actually fine. But for what I've picked so far, I don't really have anything that supports it. I think that card was a trap pick for me. The cards that I really should have been looking at were either of the green cards personally. Maybe that blue 0/4, but it's a little bit annoying because I know what I said in the previous pack about the previous pick, and since I took the Angel and the Tusker, or Ridge Scale Tusker, I actually don't think that my pick would actually change based on that. If I went the blue-white route, then absolutely I would be looking at either of these blue cards here. But I didn't. I took a green route, and I think I should have had Rhino Tusker here. And then at that point, I can debate, okay, is having in the bottom left there a giant growth that adds 2 energy better than destroying target artifact or enchantment? And the answer is probably no. I'm probably taking the pump spell here. But since I did what I did, I still think I should have taken the pump spell because it's a combat trick. So I think I definitely made the wrong pick by taking that specific vehicle. Ooh, kind of glad I'm in white now. All right, so we do need to consider a curve. We do have a lot at the top end. Let's see. When this enters the battlefield, put a counter on target creature you control. So, enchanted... Oh, this is removal. Enchant creature can't attack or block or crew. When this card enters the battlefield, if permanent control left the battlefield, this turn you gain 5 life. That card is also great. I don't think I can pass up on the removal, though. Okay. Given what I've picked, I've kind of... I could, at this point, back off of green. But regardless of what I pick here, actually, I'm looking at it now. Regardless of what I pick, I'm still not committed to either green or white. I could go either way. I could try to stay green and white. Given the options here, the two considerations are I don't have removal and I don't have anything good on curve. So I was analyzing the pack as it was, not thinking about my picks so far as those things inherently. There could be justification to pick up that blue enchantment. That's a form of removal. But since I took Whisperweave Angel, I wasn't really thinking like that. Now, if I took the path in picks 1, 2, or 3 of either blue-white or staying mono-green, where I had 3 green cards, or to have 2 multicolor blue-white cards, and then probably what... I might have taken a vehicle out of that third pack if I was blue-white, blue-white. But that would have really nestled me into blue-white. And I have the tendency to try to stay as open as I can. Doing what I did, picking a green card, picking a white card, picking a colorless card, it still left me open for options. But I decided at this point that I would like removal because removal tends not to table. So I take it here instead of a curve consideration. And I think either way... I think the only thing that would have made me take the green card on curve is if I stayed green the whole time, where I had Tusker, where I had Rhino, where I had Pump Spell. Going into this pack, I would have taken the green card and I would have sent the signal to the person sitting next to me that, hey, no, green's not available to you. Here's some awesome blue and white cards, which I've already done. So my signaling's bad here. Everything about what I've done so far is bad other than taking the Ridge Scale turn 1, pack 1, pick 1. And that's just because I have bias towards green at this point. Okay, so that's perfect. Unfortunately, we don't get Subtle Strike or this Dawnfeather Eagle. Dawnfeather Eagle, it's just a solid flyer. Enters battlefield, creatures you control get 1/1 vigilance till end turn, so that's great, but it's high on the curve. I really want to take this Thriving Rhino, but Engineered Might is just super good. That's actually super tough. Rhino's so good. I think what I'll do is I'll take the powerful cards first. That's so rough. Yes, watching me draft this is rough. I agree 100%. Because, no, I am just so wrong here. I am so wrong here. Looking at... Okay, so with what I have now, I have expensive cards in my deck that don't do anything until late in the game when I'm already being pressured. Rhino is the obvious pick here for me. I would 100%, if I did this draft again, take the Rhino. Now, if I stayed blue-white, I would probably be looking at taking either the 1/3 that lets me scry or the 5-drop flying creature. Now, also the thing about the blue-white deck, if I was drafting that, it would still be high on the curve, and I would be really concerned with my mana curve, and I would probably favor the 1/3 over the 3/3 flyer. But if I took the mono green route and I've only taken green cards, I could take second Rhino, but the real debate would have been, okay, if I'm basically mono green here, right? Would I take Rhino number 2, or is Subtle Strike dipping into black, which is an excellent spell, better than second Rhino? And that's something that I would have probably decided Subtle Strike, the first Subtle Strike is better than the second Rhino, just because I want it's combat trick and removal at the same time. So that would have been really hard for me to pass up. Maybe I'm undervaluing Rhino even more here by saying that, but regardless, the way that my pool is turning out now, Rhino should be the pick, not picking another expensive card that might be hard to cast. And I don't even know if I'm going to be able to go wide or not. So this is just awful. I could try to splash back into black. Let's see. Fabricate 4 mana. Yeah. I'm actually super worried about my curve. Gains Death Touch till end of turn. When gear enters the battlefield, return an artifact creature. I guess I'm technically not committed to these colors, but... yeah, I'm not committed to these colors at all. Move along from green. You passed up too many Rhinos. You're not in green anymore, me. What the heck's wrong with you? We don't have anything at 4, so we'll take the 4-drop. I finally said something that made sense. I don't have anything in the 4-drop slot, so I guess I'll take the 4-drop. Sure. Now, that would have been an awesome Blue-White Flyers card, but if I'm still in that Blue-White Flyers deck, I'm still looking like I'm in trouble because I don't have anything really in my curve other than Hawk. Hopefully I took Hawk. Yeah. The other, if I was playing the mono green deck with either straight mono green or the Subtle Strike, I would be looking at definitely dabbling more into black with this pack. I probably would not end up taking the multicolored card, but the other 2 black cards are perfectly fine. The black one, I think it has Improvise and does something when it enters the battlefield, makes servos or something like that. And then the other one's a 2/3 with Menace, which basically almost vanilla. It passes the bear test. Built-in evasion. If I was playing just mono green, I'd probably be taking the Serpent because it's a form of removal in green. So yeah, at least I'm actually strategically thinking about my deck as is right now and taking that card. I really hope that I end up dropping green here soon, but we'll see what happens. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Are you kidding me right now? It's punished for not stepping into black. Oh no. Oh no. I have no idea what to do. That sucks. Those top 2 are just phenomenal. They're just so good. Yeah, pack 2. I mean, I guess I could try to force a switch. It's just a little bit later than I want. Or I could be super greedy. I've already passed a lot of things in pack 1 that would have given my deck the consistency it needs in order to function well. So when you put it in a position where you have a pool of cards that really aren't consistent with it's not a cohesive pool, which is really what I have at this point going in pack 2. I don't really have a good cohesive pool. You have to start leveraging the power of individual cards. So at this point, Yahenni's expertise is not in a color that I'm in, but Yahenni's expertise is better than everything that I've drafted so far. So At this point, what we're going to do is, instead of trying to make this pile of crap that I have consistent by picking up the area list, for example, we're going to start trying to leverage the power of certain cards. Now, this puts us in a position where we'll end up having games that we hope that our pile is good enough, and then when we draw Yeheni's Expertise, we'll be able to go over the top and just keep pushing the advantage, or we'll have to try to make what we can do a stalemate. The cards that I will be playing with that aren't Yeheni's Expertise, it's really hard to pull an advantage because everything's just like a hair too slow, or just like one stat less efficient than what my opponents are more than likely going to do. Oh gosh. That's so bad. It's so bad because at this point, all of the commentary that I've done for each individual pick, I'm like thinking those things right now. Because if I did X and Y different, then Z would be great. Like, if I dabbled in black, I could legitimately start thinking about taking the Aetherborn. But if I was in the green deck, like mono green deck basically, I could think about taking the Druid of the Cowl. The 1/3 that basically is an Oblivion Ring on a stick is an excellent card that fits in almost any iteration of deck that I could possibly draft. So that's a card that I'm definitely looking at. But I'm thinking about how my draft has been so far. It's like, man, I did not draft well enough in order to leave me open to good enough cards to make them good in my deck. And I'm thinking at this point, what's going to happen with my pile is it's going to be a green-white pile, basically just splashing Yeheni's Expertise. And I don't want too many double black cards in my deck at this point to be splashing, because that's a really incredibly unrealistic splash to have too many two costing things as a third color splash. No, now I have to choose between two other amazing cards. So I took Yeheni's Expertise. I could really mess things up and like the Gifted Aetherborn's super good, but I'm not sure if switching colors is better than taking a good card in the colors that I already am. Like, I really want to take this Druid of the Cowl. I just have a huge curve consideration. That's my problem. Let's see. Enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. Yeah, I'm going to take that. As you can see, I put Yeheni's Expertise in the sideboard. From that pack, I was kind of convinced that I was just going to be a solid big mid-range green-white deck. So I ended up taking the card that to try to get card advantage and hope to get things that do more +1/+1 countery things. And that's why I took the Hill Giant that can draw you cards. All right. As much as I'd like to play that card, I can't. I took it. I regret everything. Oh. Black's looking real good right now. But there's only one green card in the pack, and it's a 4/4 for 5 that has upside. At this point, since I put Yeheni's Expertise in my sideboard, I've dismissed black again. Flip-flop. Deck. What? What is going on here? What is going on here? What does my deck look like without green? It looks really weird. We're gonna make a switch. Can't block at the beginning of upkeep. Put a +1/+1 counter on Fretwork Colony. You lose 1 life. It's really good early. This card's great. I'm going to take that. I like that card. We'll take the flyer. Bastion's not bad. This is enters the battlefield. Target creature goes just +1/+1 till end of turn. That's not terrible. This Fen Hauler's not bad either. We already have one of those if we're going to do it. We might be a 3-color deck. It depends on what's worth splashing here. Okay. Gain an energy. Ugh, this pack's terrible. This pack's terrible. Guess we'll take the green card. God, this is awful. Ooh, actually, that helps a lot. We may be a 3-color deck. We may be a very greedy 3-color deck now. I got one thing of mana fixing. I have hope. I have hope. Well, as you can see there, I decided to do something that I said I hoped would happen, is ditch green, and I started taking some black cards. So now I'm a really weird black-white mid-rangey style deck. And then I find an Attune in the Aether, and I think, okay, well, take it and see what comes up green. Now, I do want to point something out. I did take the Hill Giant that gives you card advantage based on like +1/+1 counters, and I took it, and then I decided to switch to black, and then I started seeing those 2-drops that put +1/+1 counters on your creatures. I don't know how much worse this draft could go for me. Like, I definitely am blowing off the rust here. This is just, frankly, it's pretty embarrassing. This is bad for somebody who claims to be at least decent at Magic. Oh. Alright, so this pack has a lot of blue cards in it. Okay. Well, I'm not splashing blue. I gave up my ability to be in blue. We're going to take the draw spell. Okay, so what do we got here? When it enters the battlefield tapped, has menace as long as you control an artifact. Midnight Oil. I don't like it. I guess we'll take that guy. Hooray! We got one anyway. I should have taken that card a long time ago. I should just be solid white-green. Yeheni was just... the expertise was just such a tempting card. There's just so much value you can get out of it. It's so game-changing. That's interesting. First strike, when a cruise vehicle gets first strike. It's low on the curve, which is really what I need. Alright. Creatures you control get +2/+1 till end of turn. Let's see. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under control, you may pay 1. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Sacrifice. Destroy target creature. Activate this ability on control 2 or more artifacts. I am not super artifacty. So we're going to take the Renegade map here, because we do need color fixing, and we need it bad. Okay. So if I don't think I'm really base any color anymore, which is really awkward. I really wanted to be base green, but now I feel like I'm like playing green for color fixing, which is weird. I regret everything. Okay. So there's a few different drafting philosophies here, right? So you could either the philosophy being you could be an 18 card deck and a little bit higher on the curve, but the idea is that your card quality is so high that the fact that you're running 18 lands is compensated. I personally don't see that in this deck, so I'm thinking I need to be playing more spells than I do anything else. 17 is kind of the middle ground. 17 is I think a statistical average or at least a recommendation, so you can curve out relatively well. And then 16 usually is supported with decks that have a seriously low curve. And I'm so saturated on the threes, and the number out of the 23 cards I have in the deck, only 7 of them are under 3, and then I have 3, 4, 5, 6 over 3, so 7 and 6, 13, so there's 10 cards at 3, which is a lot. So that means unless I draw things in conjunction or at the right time, I'm not going to be playing 2 spells a turn. I'm more than likely only going to be playing 1 spell a turn, and my game plan is probably going to be trying to keep the board at parry until I can Yahenni's expertise, or keep the board at parry until I can do something hopefully a bit bigger than them. I do at least have some card draw, which is nice. So if I have... This is probably just the deck. That has some built-in removal. Alright, so I guess I'm not just sad that I took Yahenni's expertise at this point, because I feel like this deck is kind of awful without a card like Yahenni's expertise. The thing that does make me sad is now I don't have any destroy target artifact or creature cards. The only thing that really takes care of an artifact is this, and it's a vehicle even, not just any artifact. So what's the weakest 3-drop here? They're all pretty decent, but I don't think anything I have up here is better than any of my 3-drops. I'm trying to find a reason to play a second ally evasion. It's a very nice utility for sure. I way overvalued Engineered Might. I put in a Renegade map, 2 forests, just to try to get Engineered Might to happen. I think what I should have done is taken the 3/1 for 4 that gives vehicles flying and slap in the 6/6 vehicle and just tried to make value as much as I could for color consistency. And also it would have brought down my curve a little bit, made it so I could have played more threats earlier instead of just like holding on to this Engineered Might, waiting for the right moment to play it. I think having a card like Yahenni's expertise as being like maybe the one of That is the real bomb power card to play. Wait and play at the opportune time is fine, and just trying to have bodies or things to do or throw an evasion for something would have been better than trying to force Renegade Map and Forests to make Engineered Might a playable card. Just wanted to put my last 2 cents in there. Maybe even try to find room for another fatty and improvised creature to really try to make my top end hard to deal with as well. So I still think I submitted an incorrect deck. I should have completely abandoned green based on how I drafted and performed. That's my premier Kaladesh Remastered first draft experience on MTG Arena. Leave a comment down below to let me know how much I sucked at my first Kaladesh draft since basically the set dropped in real life. If you like what we're doing here on the channel, remember to like and subscribe down below. We greatly appreciate it. And a couple shout outs really quick. Inked Gaming, your game, your style. Get your playmats, dice bags, binders with images that you desire on your gaming products. And we also have a storefront, tcgplayer.com. We have just Google search, or we have singles, just Google search MTG Dungeon Northwest or NW. Use the NW. MTG Dungeon NW. We should be the first thing to pop up. And remember, happy magicking.